Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. 25 years ago this month exactly, Bill and Hillary Clinton took control of the Democratic Party, and they've basically run it, with a few exceptions, ever since. It's been a long time. Here's a look back.
I still believe in a place called hope.
I accept your nomination for President of the United States.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it and didn't inhale.
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
I can state unequivocally that, as my husband has said, these are false allegations.
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is.
Yes.
The great story here, for anybody willing to find it and write about it and explain it, is this vast right-wing conspiracy.
What difference at this point does it make?
I feel your pain.
This was the biggest nothing burger ever.
Thank you, and may God bless you and the United States of America.
If you're a recent college graduate, that's your entire life. That's how long the Clintons have been in control, a quarter century. And for decades, they've held control because they and their acolytes have ruthlessly stamped out numerous charges of sexual harassment and assault brought against Bill Clinton. Suddenly, out of nowhere, that's no longer working for them. The society-wide backlash against sexual harassment by powerful producers, actors, and politicians has finally turned and bit the Clintons themselves. Just yesterday, Democratic Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, she's the one who filled Hillary Clinton's New York Senate seat when Hillary left it to become Secretary of State, said that Bill Clinton should have resigned during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. In response, Gillibrand was blasted by Hillary Clinton's longtime spokesman, Philippe Reines. He tweeted this: "Over 20 years, you took the Clintons' endorsements, money, and seat. Hypocrite." But Senator Gillibrand is not alone in turning on the Clintons. Liberal blogger Matt Iglesias, who's defended them for years, he works at Vox, he now says the president should have resigned back then. At an event in Miami, former DNC chair Donna Brazile, also very close to the Clintons, says that Bill Clinton's accusers deserve to be heard. Where's this coming from? What does it mean other than the end of the Clinton era, finally and completely? Chris Hahn is an attorney. He spent years working for Senator Chuck Schumer of New York, a longtime Clinton ally, and he joins us tonight. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Anytime, Tucker. Thanks for having me.
I'm not going to pile on the Clintons. Actually, I'm going to say something that I didn't think I would ever say. I agree with Philippe Reines in this case. I think that Senator Gillibrand is basically treating the Clintons like the Clintons treated women. She used them, and now she's discarding them. And I think it is contemptible. Wouldn't you agree?
No, look, I mean, she's got a good opinion, and I think it's a good voice that needs to be heard. And let's face it, Tucker, I think that opinions on some of the things that happened in the 90s have evolved dramatically in this country, particularly in the last, 10 months or so. And I think that there's people looking back on what happened, not just with Bill Clinton, but Anita Hill and Justice Thomas, with a whole new light, and they are looking at the women that were involved in that.
If I were much younger, you might be able to pull that over on me, because I'd be like, really? People didn't worry about rape in the 1990s? But I was there, actually. And Justice Thomas was never accused of any physical contact of any kind. He was accused of saying sexual things to Anita Hill, and we can debate whether he did or not. But he was never accused of assault in any way. Bill Clinton was credibly accused of forcible violent rape by a woman who was not a political opponent. She was a Democrat, and she told a bunch of people about it at the time, and she was attacked by fellow Democrats, dismissed by the press, and made to feel that she'd done something wrong. That was wrong then, and it's wrong now. And what I find infuriating is all these people attacked her then, and now they're like, oh, well, standards have changed. No, rape's always been real. It's always been bad.
I agree, Tucker. I mean, you're not getting any argument with me. And you look back on it now, and there's a lot of disgust when you look back at that, both on, both from people on the left and the right, and the way things were done towards women who came forward with allegations. And I think the initial instinct that is happening now for women to be believed until they're not, is probably the right way to go. And I think we're going to see more of that. And I think it's empowering for women. And I think that we're going to see less sexual harassment in the workplace. And we're going to see women move farther up the chain, because I think having more women in power is going to stop this altogether. And I think that's a great thing for America.
That's total nonsense. First of all, that's nonsense. Social science doesn't back you up, and there have been studies on this, and they don't say what you say they say. But moreover, Hillary Clinton just ran for president a year ago. She's married to the guy accused of rape, and she attacked the women who accused him of sex crimes, and she didn't do it in the 90s. She did it last year while running for president, and she's still denying it. So she wanted the most powerful job in America, and she's attacking the women. So how does your theory work exactly?
Tucker, on the Clintons, I love them. I think Bill was a great president. I think she would have been a great president. They are no longer going to be the leaders of the Democratic Party. That is very, very clear at this point. In about a year and a half, we'll pick a new nominee to run for president, and he or she will be the leader of the Democratic Party going forward until they're not president or until they lose the presidential
No, you're right,
race.
and that's an interesting conversation. No, I agree with you, and actually, I would love to have a longer conversation about which wing in the party is ascendant at this point. But I can't, we need to, and I don't want to do a week of sex stories about the Clintons, because they're off the stage. I agree with you. I hope this is the last one we ever do.
They're gone.
I agree with you. But Michelle Goldberg at the New York Times is not gone. She has a column there. She's totally fraudulent, a fraudulent feminist. She's writing this, quote, "Because of Broderick's allegations, Bill Clinton no longer has a place in decent society." Now, we can say Bill Clinton's off the stage. Michelle Goldberg's not off the stage. She still has a platform, and people listen to her and take her seriously. Where was she a year ago? These allegations are 20 years old. Why should we let Michelle Goldberg, this ersatz feminist, off the hook for just now recognizing rape is wrong? Like, why should I forgive her for that?
I've seen Michelle Goldberg. I don't think she was writing a column for the New York Times in 1996.
She was defending Hillary Clinton a year ago. I read her stuff. She was defending we all have to vote for Hillary.
Well, look, Tucker, you're going to hold Hillary Clinton responsible for her husband's crimes? That's ridiculous.
No, I'm not. I'm not actually. And by the way, I'm being as honest as I can be.
Why should Michelle Goldberg?
Because all of us knew. I'll tell you exactly why. Because Michelle Goldberg and lots of other people on the left thought it was more important that they have power than that some woman get justice. Okay, fine, but you can't pretend to be a feminist simultaneously, which is what people like Michelle Goldberg, and it's not just her, it's the entire feminist establishment that covered up for his crimes because they wanted him in office. And I just think they should be held accountable for that. Not the Clintons, they're defenders.
Like I said, I think there's been a major evolution in this country, and I think that's a good thing, and I think things are going to change, and we're not going to be seeing these things covered up and swept under the rug.
And that's not necessarily good for the current president either.
That is not necessarily good for the current president.
People didn't think rape was a big deal last year during the campaign? I thought the Democrats were the party of women, but you're telling me they didn't take it seriously last year.
Tucker, the person who was accused of rape was not running for president last year.
His wife, who attacked the woman who accused him,
She was never accused of rape. She believed her husband. That was her crime, Tucker.
She didn't believe her husband for a second. And don't insult my intelligence. She attacked the women who accused him. I was there. I covered this in 1998, and she led the charge against Monica Lewinsky, who did nothing wrong. She was like a kid. And Mrs. Clinton is the one who said she's a stalker and a nutcase and don't believe her. She did that. It wasn't just believing her husband.
Look, Tucker, I think Monica Lewinsky is owed an apology by a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree.
Myself included. And I think everybody on the left and the right who attacked that woman and painted her with a scarlet letter when she was just a 20-something star-eyed person. I feel that there's nobody in my lifetime who I feel was treated worse than her politically. And I agree. think that's something that needs to be rectified right away.
The FBI ought to apologize to her also. They sweated her. They threatened her. She didn't do anything wrong. I mean, she did some, she was a kid. She's an intern. But I agree. There are many people responsible for wrecking that woman's life. But Hillary Clinton is one of them. And my only point is, when it was politically expedient, all these fake feminists defended Hillary Clinton. And now that she's off the stage, they're like, oh, I can unburden myself. Just kidding. He's guilty.
Well, look. I don't think they're fake feminists, Tucker. I think they were compartmentalizing some of their feelings on different things. I know a lot of women who do not like Bill Clinton to this day. And are very critical of Bill Clinton because of the Monica Lewinsky scandal, because of the other things brought up against him. And these are liberal women.
Chris, I hope that we have closed the book on the Clintons, and we'll see you back here on another topic. Thank you.
Well, I think we have. Thanks, man.
Well, the Clintons face relentless attacks from within their own party. Hillary Clinton is still questioning the legitimacy of her defeat last year. Remember when she accused Trump of not accepting his loss? She said, you're going to lose and not accept it. Well, she lost and isn't accepting it, amazingly. In an interview with Mother Jones magazine, Clinton repeated her claim that the Russians robbed her of the presidency. Watch.
What impact do you think Russian interference had in the election?
I think it was one of the major contributors to the outcome.
Do you think it was a legitimate election?
I think that there are lots of questions about its legitimacy. As we learn more about it, we know that the web of connections between people on Trump's team and Russian representatives just gets more and more dense.
Next time someone says, Alex Jones is crazy, he's a conspiracy nut. Okay, nuttier than that? Michael Graham is a radio show host. He joins us tonight. That's not in the script. I couldn't control myself. Michael Graham, look, I said I wasn't going to belabor the Clinton point, but we are tonight celebrating the end of 25 years of Clinton control of the Democratic Party. I think it's worth celebrating, and I know Democrats are celebrating along with us. But don't you think it's fair to have a reckoning, not just with the Clintons themselves, who are now off the stage, but with their defenders who are still in power, who, like Kirsten Gillibrand, who defended them until yesterday? Like, what is that?
Look, I don't even want to bother the Clintons. I'm not interested in them anymore. I'm with Matt Iglesias, who at Vox admitted, now that the Clintons are done, we can go back and consider what Bill Clinton did. Now that the politics, now that we've squeezed every ounce of partisanship out of them, let's move on.
Exactly.
It's all about the defenders. What did Kirsten Gillibrand know about Bill Clinton yesterday that she didn't know in 2011 when they were holding hands on stage, cheering and rah-rah-rahing to get her elected? What did any of these liberals know today that they didn't know then? Tucker, back in the day, I wrote a book that you were very nice to say some nice things about called Clinton and Me, How 8 Years of a Pants-Free President Changed My Nation, My Family, and My Life. And everything we're talking about today, the fact parts, in addition to the cheap jokes, are all in that, but we all knew it. We all know why the phrase hooks to the left about Bill Clinton, re Paula Jones, isn't about his golf swing. We all know what kiss it means. We all know why you don't mention cigars when you're hanging out with Bill Clinton and reminiscing about the Oval Office. This is all stuff people have known for 17 years, and now there's suddenly reminted Clinton virgins going, hey, wait a minute, I think you might have done something naughty.
Yeah, I don't think that we should let people get away with that. And meanwhile, it's the same people who are always lecturing the rest of us from this moral purge as feminists, defenders of women, when in fact they don't speak for women any more than any other self-appointed spokesman speaks for any other group he's not elected to run. These people have no actual authority, and now we know they have no moral authority. So why are we listening to them?
Well, I agree with you, but it's even beyond the not doing the right thing in calling people out. They joined in the attacks. A good point that you made in that previous interview, which is why I like having you on my podcast, you make good points, Tucker, is that Hillary Clinton actually said, we must destroy her, about one of the women that was a victim of Bill Clinton. She called Monica Lewinsky narcissistic Looney Tunes. They had think about this. Imagine if Judge Roy Moore right now had a group of people called the, quote, bimbo eruptions team to handle his accusers. Hillary Clinton had one, and she's a hero of feminism. It's the people who defended that. It's Hillary for defending her husband. That's, to me, the most interesting part. Not the fact that Bill Clinton's a cad. That is very old news.
Yeah, it's old news, and it's not that uncommon. But to attack the people who came forward, especially the ones who say there was violence involved, as bimbos, I'm hardly a feminist, but I love women. I mean, I was actually offended by that at the time. I don't know if they're telling the truth, but they didn't seem to have any motive to lie, and to call them bimbos when there was no evidence they were sleazy people, like, so it's totally over the top.
Come on, Tucker. Everybody knew Bill did it. Come on. When he was standing there with the...
Oh, I agree. I mean, I always thought he did.
Everybody knew that, of course, he had sex with that woman and probably several others in the room if you asked around. I mean, but everybody knew it was so true.
Mean.
And now
that's what bothered me. I mean, look, he could have just said, I'm not, life's complicated, I'm not talking about it. And I think a lot of people would have gone with that. But instead, they got a team of lawyers and flacks to attack the women. That always bothers you. Why do you need to attack the women? Why don't you just say you're not going to talk about it? It was cruel. And they never got the credit for that they deserved, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And now what's happening is that defenders of Donald Trump and defenders of Roy Moore are looking at these feminists, so-called, and journalists, so-called, and saying, why should we care more about how these guys treated women than you as feminists cared about how Bill Clinton treated women? And it's a very hard argument to answer.
It sure is. Michael, thank you. Great to see you.
My pleasure. Great to see you, too.